everyone, this is Crystal and I am back with week 17 in my creativity journal. I already have my photos ready to go, and for supplies I've decided to pull out my stash of whimsical. So this is Paige Evans for Pink Paisley. I think it was from last year, from 2018 or 2018. Oh, so that, I guess that's 2 years ago now. But I still have a lot left. I have used some of it, but I definitely have plenty left over, and you can see a lot of the themes will work really well for this type of album. I have lots of embellishments, and then I have the 12 by 12 paper pad, which has some cut aparts, and the prints are fairly large, but I think they'll work just fine. I do also have some scraps in here from another collection that was released around the same time that I can't remember the name of, but I will try and mention that in the voiceover if I can remember to look it up. Okay, so I'm just going to put you on fast forward and go ahead and get started. So I'm going to start by just kind of going through everything that I have in this little pile of goodies. It's been a while since I've done anything with this collection, so I'm just trying to familiarize myself with what's here. I'm starting with the ephemera pack, pulling out anything that I think will work. I do grab that frame, and I will end up using that on the page. I have a hard time using frames usually on other projects, mostly because I don't plan ahead, and so I don't print my photos to fit any of the frames. But on a project like this, I feel like it's okay if there's a little bit of space around the photo, or if the frame cuts off the photo a little bit. So I find that I am able to use them on these kind of projects much more easily than I would on a layout or something a bit more formal. You may have noticed there is also a few pieces from one of the cut apart sheets in that die cut pack. At some point when I was using this collection, I just threw any little bits and pieces into that pack, and that way they would be together. Okay, so I'm working on the side where there's a little extra space on the left-hand side of the page, and this is where I am using a paper that's not actually from the Whimsical collection. So that one that I just added, the stripy diagonal stripe one, is from Whimsical. This one with the larger rainbow stripe is actually from a Simple Stories collection called Crafty Girl. I think it's about the only piece I have left from that collection is this tiny little strip of rainbow. So I'm happy to get that used up. The colors work, of course, very well with the Whimsical collection, but I'm pretty sure everything else I use on this page is from Whimsical. Okay, so now that I've gotten those glued down, I am going to go ahead and add my photos, and then I can lift up the page and trim off the excess. Of course, those are 12 by 12 papers, and I'm working on an 8.5 by 11 sheet, so there was a little bit of extra that needed to be trimmed off. And I just made sure to kind of center that stripe paper vertically so that all of the colors would show after I trimmed off the excess. Okay, so just continuing to glue down my photos, and some of the big pieces that I know I want to use, like that little journaling spot, which was from a cut apart sheet, and this frame from the ephemera pack. And then I can continue just building up the rest of the page. So I'm going to start with some of the larger pieces from the ephemera pack and from the thickers, the embellishment thickers, the chipboard embellishments, I guess. And then also I'm going to add some rub-ons. So I have the rub-ons from this collection. I love the rub-ons in this collection. Of course, rub-ons have a shelf life. They don't last forever. So I'm going to try and get as many used on this page as I can. I've also pulled out the foam alphas, the thickers that were part of this collection, which I still have plenty of. I don't remember if I had 2 packs of these or if I just haven't used them and I've just been hoarding them. It's totally possible that I've just been hoarding them. I do sometimes have trouble using multicolored alphas, trying to get that balance of color across the word or multiple words of a title or whatever it is I'm trying to spell out. But I'm trying to get over that and trying to just use them. I have a lot of sets of multicolored alphas, and I definitely want to use them up. So these are beautiful. These are really pretty alphas. So I'm going to spread them out on this page and create 3 little titles. So I have my week title there at the top, and then I'm going to create a secondary kind of title for this little cluster of photos here. And then I'm going to, just to give them a 3rd place on the page, add another title at the bottom of the left-hand page as well. And that way I get more of them used up, and I also have repetition across the page of 3 places where these alphas appear. And just trying to get a good balance of color across these words. Like I said, one thing I try to do is alternate kind of light and dark and cool and warm colors. I find that helps it look a little bit better to my eye. And then, of course, if I'm adding 2 words, trying not to repeat the same color right on top of each other as well. Okay, so those are all in place now. I have to clean up a mess that I made, and then I can start adding the rest of the embellishments. So I'm going to start with the rub-ons because they're kind of the base layer and I can add things on top of them. I'm going to start with that. There is this kind of triangular rainbow, I guess, that I know I've been hoarding. I've wanted to use it several times and have kept myself from using it, but it's finally going on this page. I'm going to add it there at the top, and I like the way that echoes the rainbow that is down the left-hand side of the page. So I will end up adding a few more pieces on top of that to create a little cluster up there. And that rainbow piece is going to be kind of the base of that. There were also several little clusters like this. So this one is stars. There are some that are just kind of like stitch marks. And I do end up scattering those around the page as well, just kind of in the corners of things, like around my title and around the corner of that photo, where really no other embellishment would fit otherwise. So like I said, I'm going to try and use as many of these as I can. So anything that I feel like will work, that I can find a space for, I'm just going to go ahead and stick down. I'm not thinking about it too much. Part of the reason I love this project so much is that I feel very much able to... that didn't make sense. Let me try that again. I feel like I'm able to just have fun with it and not worry too much about it being perfect, or about, not overthinking things like I would on other projects. I just kind of have fun and play. And that's what this is kind of all about. It's documenting my creativity. It's just about me. It's really just for me. I don't know that it'll ever be something I show anyone else, or, except for all of you. But in real life, in person, I don't know that anybody else will ever see it or want to look through it. It's really just for me to document what I'm doing and to have this part of my life recorded. And that gives me just some freedom to just have fun with it. So still just playing with these rub-ons, adding a bunch down wherever I can find room for them, really. And at some point I will stop and go back to some of the other embellishments that I have. And then I will come back to the rub-ons in the end as kind of finishing touches around the page. So I've grabbed some chipboard pieces. I'm grabbing the sticker book, which I actually had 2 of because one was misprinted. So I picked up a second one. And there is a few more of those ephemera pieces, the die cuts as well. Trying to find a spot for those on the page. And yeah, it's really just about playing. It's about having fun and adding things wherever I feel like they will fit. This collection is it's just fun. It's just a really fun collection. I think that it's probably my second favorite Paige Evans collection. Truly Grateful has to be my first favorite because the colors in that are just fantastic. And I love all of the kind of fall-ish, but not overtly fall, themes that are in that collection. But this one is definitely my second favorite. All of the little crafty icons, the little glue guns and paint palettes and jars of colored pencils and things like that. It's just adorable, and yeah, just so much fun to play with. So that's probably why I bought so much of it in the first place, because it's just fun. And I love that I can use it on these pages in a way that just makes it fun to play with. Can I say that any more times? It's fun, fun, fun. Okay, I think I got it out of my system now. Okay, so I'm just, like I said, adding things here and there wherever they will fit, wherever I feel like they will work. I'm definitely going to add a bunch of these florals around the page. The florals in this collection are also beautiful, and there are some on the sticker sheets, there's some in the chipboard, and there's some in the puffy stickers as well. So I'm going to create little clusters of florals using all three of those. So there will be kind of 3 different types of texture in each of the clusters, and I really like the way that that looks. I love building up clusters of florals using different types of products to really give them a lot of interest and dimension, and make them, they feel, not more lifelike really, but maybe in a way, I guess, because, you know, it's not all flat and it's not all one kind of material, and so there's lots of texture there. Doing the same there at the top, so now I have 3 clusters of flowers around the page, just looking through to find any other ones that might work in all of these little bits and pieces, adding a few leaves as well. There are some kind of separate leaf pieces that you can add to the flowers to kind of build up the clusters. And yeah, just adding more things. There are lots of little pens and pencils that are just fun to kind of add, especially at an angle, to kind of add some movement to the page. And paintbrushes and scissors do the same thing, adding them at angles. I did the same thing with those little paint tubes as well, just kind of adding them at an angle so that everything's not so linear, and it just adds a bit of whimsy, so to speak, to the page. Here is where I'm adding those puffy flowers. This is the puffy sticker sheet, and they're just adding a few of those flowers to the clusters to build them up a bit more, and seeing if there's anything else here I can add. I think I do end up adding a few of those little paper clips to the corners of my photos. I thought that would be super cute to just make it kind of look like they're clipped onto the page that way. Of course, you know, they're not actually, like, it's not layered, so the clip is just kind of sitting on top of it, but I think it still looks cute that way. I think here in a second I'm about to go away and add my journaling. Yep, there it is, all done. I felt like I was starting to embellish myself out of having space for journaling. So I wanted to make sure I got any stories written down that needed to be added to this page before I can add all of the finishing touches and kind of fill in whatever blank spaces are left. So I'm back to the rub-ons now that I know exactly how much space I have. I'm going to add a few more just to fill in the blank squares. And then I will come in with some smaller embellishments and add them to the places where I already have embellishments to create some more clusters. I think I do add a few more stickers and chipboard pieces as well, because there's quite a bit of white space. I didn't have a lot of journaling this week, so there's quite a bit of white space left to fill in. And I don't, of course, fill in all of it because I do want your eye to have some place to rest on this page, but I do end up adding quite a bit just because I couldn't not add these adorable little pieces. So on the rub-on sheet, there were also lots of these little like stitch marks, stitch lines, and little clusters of little X-shaped stitches, and I'm going to add those around the page as well. They just add a tiny little extra piece. So the little sets of 3 clusters are going around the embellishments that I have. I'm adding a little line of like a straight line of stitches beneath all of the places where I journaled, and I will add a few of those little clusters in other places as well, just to fill in some of the space. So you can see there that chipboard piece is not staying put. I don't do it on camera, but I do, after I finish filming, go in and add a bit of liquid glue behind all of the chipboard pieces on this page. they just aren't reliable enough to trust to stay in place without some additional adhesive. Even the ones that feel like they're stuck down in the moment will end up at the bottom of your page protector, or in this case on the floor, because these are not in page protectors. So I just made sure to add a bit of extra adhesive just to ensure that they're not going to go anywhere. I'm looking through the sticker sheet again for some little tiny pieces to add here and there. I found some buttons. I also add some hearts. I found another larger piece right there to fill in that kind of blank space. Just really looking for all the little bits and pieces to fill in the rest of the space that I have here. So then off camera, I will go ahead and add a few little doodles here and there, just because it just seemed like it needed some extra whimsy to finish off this page. And then I do also add a few of the enamel dots. There was a set of enamel dots and shapes that was part of this collection, and I totally forgot about it until after I'd done my doodling. And then when I was putting things away, I realized that I hadn't added any of those, so I go back in and add just a few. They're kind of a bit more of a bright color compared to the other things, so I liked that they added a bit of brightness and of course additional texture and a bit of shine to the page as well. And you'll see that here in the close-up. So that's the page all done. I hope that you've enjoyed watching this process and that you got some inspiration for documenting your own creativity. If you enjoyed this video, I do always appreciate a thumbs up. It lets me know that you like what I'm doing and that I should do more of it. And if you haven't already, be sure to hit that subscribe button and that little bell so that you get notified when I upload new videos. Thank you all so much for watching, and I'll see you back here soon.